as hell. And I have so much phlegm when I wake up.
Fucking banana bread at work today, dude? Hell
yeah. Cool.
You know Joe?
Yeah.
He made this beat.
Oh, shit.
And he was just playing it one day, and I was like, dude, give this to me. I want to put this on the podcast.
Fucking skunks, dude? Hell no. Scratching your eye, but it's still fucking itchy, dude? Hell no. The fucking Cubs, dude? Hell no. Like getting paid not a lot of money, dude, for fucking working.
Who's the guy talking?
Hell no.
I'll tell you.
But banana bread, I fucking work them. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
So anyways, the guy, he found this video of this guy freaking out about banana bread at work.
Uh-huh.
And he's just yelling about banana bread. And he was like, I'm going to throw this onto the song. And it matched up perfectly.
That was good.
Like it hit the beat at the right time. Yeah, it's pretty funny. But what were you saying about sleeping?
Oh, so now when I sleep, I like sleep with my mouth open, which I don't know if I always slept that way or not.
Yeah.
But I also have like, from being hit on the nose so much from soccer, one nostril is bigger than the other. So my nose is like fucked.
So you have a deviated septum probably?
Probably. I have no idea.
Courtney's got one from breaking her nose with soccer.
Yeah. And it's just like, so now I breathe through my mouth when I like sleep. And because I get all congested, when I wake up, it's like my throat is so dry and it hurts. And then I'm like fucking spitting loogies for like 20 minutes before I clear everything out.
Yeah.
But it fucking sucks.
And that's just recent? Is that just kind of started?
Well, the dry throat is recent, but I've always gotten congested like every winter since I can remember.
Dang, dude.
Yeah. But
that's weird.
It gets worse when I drink. Like this past weekend and the weekend before I like went out, and it gets way worse when I drink. Like the whole day I feel like I can't even talk because my throat is just like so dry.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
Also, drinking just fucks me up now.
Oh, really?
On Saturday, I woke up. I was fucking sweating. My heart was fucking... It was like 6 a.m. I was like, I gotta chill it. I gotta not drink for a bit.
Change my lifestyle.
Seriously.
That's funny.
No hangovers, though, which is nice.
Really?
I drink so much water before I go to bed.
Oh, okay.
I was at the bar, and I was already drinking water. I tipped the bartender. She looks at him. She goes, you know, you're the first person that's ever tipped me for water. You come back here as much as you want.
Oh, wow.
I was like, all right.
Okay. Was this a thing that you had known about? Tipping the bar?
I just felt bad because I fucking kept going back and like and asking for water. And they're like probably trying to make some money, like people buying drinks.
Yeah, they don't want to talk to you.
I was like, no, I'm getting water.
That's funny, man.
But yeah, I felt bad.
I came across this the other day. We're getting ready to talk about it. So she's getting a lot of flack again, dude. They can't stop getting outraged at like.
What did she do?
Watch this. So J.K. Rowling is in the news again because people are mad at her again.
She's getting canceled twice?
Yeah, twice. She had there was a tweet about her. Dang, where's the tweet at? Oh yeah, so she was linking an article where they talked about the Scottish police will record rapes by offenders with male genitalia as being committed by a woman if the attacker identifies as a female.
That's so stupid.
Right. Well, yeah, that's kind of stupid to us. But the sentiment, like, hey, honey, I had the door cracked. Tell her lies. Hey, can you shut the door for me? Appreciate it. So, anyways.
Almost. There we go.
Okay. So back to J.K. Rowling. So she said, she linked this article that was in the Sunday Times alleging that Scottish police will record rapes by offenders with male genitalia as being committed by a woman if the attacker identifies as a female. All she did was link it, and then she tweeted underneath, "War is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. The penised individual who raped you is a woman." Right, so she's obviously poking fun at it. And then obviously that outraged every virtue signaling person in the woke world, right?
It just came out.
Yeah, it's just like, no, you can, but I understand how you can get mad at something like that if you have delusional thoughts about the fact that what somebody thinks of themselves actually determines what they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you believe that, you know, somebody who thinks that they are a woman in a man's body is a woman in a man's body, well then of course, a man didn't do that. It was a woman, the woman inside of the man's body that did it. Yeah. But it's but the body did it, right? The body did it. So I guess a better way of saying it is bodies with genitalia, with male genitalia, right?
Did the attacking.
Yeah, did the attack. It was the body, it wasn't the person.
Is this actually, the Scottish police actually, they're doing that?
Yeah. Apparently it's a report in the Scottish police, or in the Sunday Times.
Wow.
About the Scottish police. Yeah. So obviously people got mad at it, just like they got mad at, you know, Dave Chappelle for his special about trans, and
which is crazy.
Well, I mean, it's understandable if that's how you see things, right?
The thing is, he did a really good job of like explaining.
Yeah, I thought
exactly what he thought was very clear. Sure, you could get offended, but like, that's what he thinks.
Yeah. Well, your thoughts hurt me, dude.
Fuck.
So shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? That's the idea behind that type of reaction. Well, your thoughts hurt me, so I'm going to
be wrong. I got to cancel you.
Well, I'm going to try to get you to stop talking. That's why freedom of speech is so important.
Yeah, well, you can't do that to Dave Chappelle.
We'll see.
I don't know. I was with the Dave Chappelle thing really quick. I saw that like the other day when like reality, like the internet, we like a lot of people think it's like reality,
right?
But like on Twitter, when that happens, you see like the woke community, like they come out in numbers. It's like everyone comes out and it's out going after him. But like in real life, like people were showing up to shows. People were like, so it's like there's a disconnect somewhere where like no one in real life is going up to him saying like you're a piece of shit. Like we're gonna cancel you. Everyone's like showing love to him. So it's just like it's like the what are they called? Like something warriors.
Keyboard warriors?
Yeah. Where like they just stay online and they never like come into reality.
Right.
It's just like...
Well, it's hard to say that kind of stuff to someone to their face.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, punch in the fucking throat.
Yeah, well,
get punched in the mouth.
Hopefully, right?
I think you would. Especially for Dave Chappelle. Actually, no.
Nah.
They get fucking sued.
Yeah, they get sued. But like, yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird because like out here in LA, it is very much a bubble.
Yeah. Where
people think that the rest of the country is like LA and New York.
Yeah.
And it's like the total opposite. But not in the worst way that's expressed out here. It's very interesting to see how anybody opposing that LA culture or, you know, liberal kind of politics is demonized just as much as like, you know, it's liberals are demonized in conservative areas. It's unfair on both accounts, but since I feel like the bigger the city, like the more you think that, yeah, like everybody should think like we think. That makes sense. You know, the bigger your group, you know, you're like, well, yeah, we're right. There's more of us, right? Yeah. But like, I think a lot of people were shocked by like how Trump got almost 50% of the vote. I mean, it was a neck and neck, election. But yeah, it's like not that many people. Like with the Dave Chappelle thing, I think it was only a couple employees at Netflix that were.
It was very few.
Yeah,
very few.
Most people are like they agree with, you know, the comedy and and stuff like that. Like, but I think on a bigger note, like demanding people to or silencing people because of what they say is just so anti-American.
Yeah,
it's not anti. It's not a conservative view. It shouldn't be a liberal view. It's an American view. It's
part of a constitution,
right? Yeah, but when that becomes like something that you're like, well, yeah, maybe we should shut them up. Maybe I think we can. I think through this platform we can do it. Then you're edging into authoritarianism.
Yeah,
right.
It's interesting to see that like I feel like more people that have an online presence are slowly starting to move away from these big like platforms because of that. Like you just can't say anything on YouTube if you mention anything about COVID, whether it's like whatever it is. You just say the word COVID and your video it doesn't get flagged, but like you can be removed. It's just like
you can be so much demonetized.
Yeah, there's so much censoring that's going on.
Yeah,
like I've seen people starting to create like different platforms, whether it's their own platform, like their own website or stuff. But it's like there's not much you can do on these platforms anymore because anything you say just like gets censored. Not anything you say. I mean, that's not true. You have to say the right things to not get censored.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, that is the problem.
Yeah.
And when that happens, man, it's like you see it all the time when you're around people and they don't like what somebody has to say, You want to tell them to shut up. It's just like but you can't as a government. I think the problem is like a lot of people are like, well, Twitter can't do this. Twitter can't, stop me from saying what I want to say. But it's a corporation.
Yeah, so they
right. So they can.
That, yeah.
Now, if the government had a social media platform,
and you can't do that.
Right. I mean, that would not. Yeah. I don't know how they would justify that one.
Yeah.
But then again, you don't want a government running your social media platform.
Fuck no.
So,
what's your name, address, date of birth? I mean, they already know that.
They already know that. But yeah, I mean, I feel like at the end of the day, dude, this is how it's all going to pan out. I feel like the metaverse is going to be an option, and a lot of people are going to plug in their whole lives.
I still don't understand what the metaverse is. Like, I have an idea, but I don't. It's kind of
like VR. It's just VR.
So, but like,
I mean, it could advance. Like, you've seen The Matrix, right?
Yeah.
It could advance to that. The way it's going. It could just be you plug in somehow, probably Neuralink, right? That Elon's doing, and you'll be able to plug in. I think that's going to happen. I think there's going to be progressions, and we're going to have that, and people are going to like deem it as the worst thing ever. But I think in the process of doing that, we're going to find out more about ourselves and realize that we actually can't be plugged into a VR.
There's no way.
And actually enjoy your life. I feel like suicides will go drastically through the roof.
Yeah.
And then it'll taper off, and they'll be like, oh, okay, we realize that too much of this is going to kill you or make you kill yourself.
The thing is, we already see it, but no one like does anything about it, which is kind of nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, there were these two guys. Do you see that documentary, The Social Dilemma?
Yeah.
So, do you see that podcast with Joe Rogan?
Yeah, they were on there.
Where him and his buddy Schlachtenberger was on there?
I don't know their names, but I did see that they were on there.
It was like a month ago.
Yeah.
So, my whole thing is they talked about like what would be the best way of like conducting, the government right now, because like the government seems like it's overstepping its boundaries with censorship and stuff like that, and China's presence and whatever, and it doesn't come down to your government; it comes down to you, individually, and how you conduct your life. People can tell you to do this or that, and then you can just say no. Yeah, that's always an option. It might not be a good option. You might die, but like that's an option.
Yeah.
You can't expect. I was reading Plato's Republic. I love reading Plato's Republic. But they're talking about the whole point of the book is they talk about like how do you create the best regime, the best city. They go through the whole book talking about like, and they bring up like the first idea of a communist community. Everything is equal, you share everything, and but then there's a fighting class that, you have to defend against people. But then obviously you'll have somebody to rule over everybody to make it work. So then that person will have more power than everybody else. So it's like, it's a thought process or, a thought game, going through all these different types of political, like stylized governments that could possibly be. And then at the end of the day, they realize that there is no governmental system that will allow a person to be to demand a person to be the best version of themselves. That's a personal decision.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you might have a democracy like we have, a republic that allows you to vote, and we have the freedoms that we have. But then again, it's up to you and your individual relationship with, your family, and, your set of morals, to be the best version of yourself. A government is not going to help you. I mean, you can live in a communist Russia and still have some type of religious relationship with God or religious practice or whatever you do for your set of morals. You can still have that, devoid of any governmental influence. Now they might kill you for it, and they usually do.
Have you seen? Wait. So that was the guy said that, or that was from the book?
So that's in the book. But the two guys on Joe Rogan's podcast were talking about, like, what do we do? This, and they didn't have an answer because they were trying to come up with some understanding of, like, what the best political system would be.
Could do that.
And then in the book, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, Plato wrote about this, where his kind of answer to that question is like, there is no best regime.
Yeah.
It all comes down to the individual.
Yeah.
And the practice of philosophy, which is a dialectic, which is a conversation between two people where you're exchanging ideas. Like that's what philosophy is.
Yeah.
That's what
I like that.
Yeah, that's what it is. The dialectic. And through dialogue, you come up with things and then you discuss those things. And so the whole book is called a dialogue. So that was Plato's kind of add to philosophy, was the dialogue, where he wrote books, and his main character was Socrates.
Okay.
But Socrates was his teacher.
Yeah.
But he wrote books with him as his main character, right?
Huh.
And it was always Socrates talking to political people, statesmen, all kinds of different people, other like rhetoricians and sophists, where they discuss things. And it's just a back and forth where they're discussing ideas. And so that was deemed the dialectic, and that's what philosophy is. It's just a conversation.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, a lot of people think like you're taught like philosophy is like, oh, this big book that this one person wrote.
Yeah.
Like that's a version of it. But like expressed in like physical form, it's a dialogue. Yeah.
Oh, dialogue, yeah.
Because you have to be honest.
Yeah.
And so there's so in the Republic, Socrates is talking about, being a philosopher. Being a philosopher and how important that is. And all that is just speaking honestly and not allowing certain shame to keep you from speaking openly, which is very hard.
Yeah.
Like,
very hard.
You don't talk to your girlfriend the way you talk to your guy friends.
Fuck no.
Do you want a relationship at all? Okay. All right. Then you don't. But that's something that you have to juggle. Yeah. And if you want to have, if you want to practice philosophy, then you have to like get rid of that shame of like someone else's opinion of what you're saying. Yeah. But
that's hard to do.
It's super hard to do. Yeah. But that's it's like working out to get in shape for a competition. It's very hard to do compared to just working out.
Yeah.
Right. We can have conversations, but then if Stephanie walked in here, we might divert a few things.
Yeah.
Might not talk about certain things. Not out of like, not because we're up to something, but it's just we're different. The genders are different. We respond to different things differently. Take things away that they shouldn't be taken. But that's why relationships are tough. But anyways, in the book, he's talking about how important philosophy is, and there's a guy called Thrasymachus. I know this is ridiculous, but and he's a rhetorician. So a rhetorician is like a self-help guy.
Okay.
So back in the day, these guys would
they actually had that back then?
Yeah, rhetoricians. So they would teach rich family members' kids how to speak and how to win arguments. Okay. It was kind of like before there was a law professor.
Yeah.
It was this guy, the rhetorician, and he was good at convincing people that he's right. You're always trying to win a debate. It's always about winning the debate. Philosophy is about enjoying the conversation.
Yeah. Huh. I like that.
Yeah. Because if you're trying to win all the time, you're not getting at the truth.
It's just what?
Because because in a debate, if you've ever done debate or anything, you're never trying to convince the other person you're debating. You're trying to convince the audience.
Yeah, that you're right.
Yeah. So when you see political debates, they're not really trying to convince, like Trump's not trying to convince Joe Biden, hey, you should see it this way. It's like, no, we're opposing views right now. We're trying to convince the audience, right? And make the other one look like a buffoon.
Yeah.
So, and in the process of making someone look like a buffoon, you're not, the dialogue is threatened in a way, you know? Because, you're putting up some type of wall, right? By shaming someone or...
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. But anyways, I feel like that's what they didn't get. And it's like you had a 3-hour conversation. Even like at the end of the conversation, Joe Rogan's like, he's like, dude, he's like, I hear all these ideas, but like I don't hear any answers to what you're trying to do. And they're like, well, we think we need to have the conversation more, which is true.
Yeah.
You need to have the conversation more because that's how things are going to change. But then it's always going to come back down to how are you going to live your life? Because like whatever you feel about vaccines or whatever, anything instituted or demanded by or mandated by a government, you can either say I don't want to do it,
say you want to do,
or I will do it.
Yeah.
It's always up to personal choice. And governments like to have control.
A lot of control.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole point of their existence, and that's what he talks about. It's like the whole point of a government is to keep existing, no matter what. To hold power, right?
Yeah.
Hold authority. It's just the nature of what it is. So
it's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah,
because people always think like the whole goal of the government is to help you,
right?
To meet your needs.
Yeah,
which is like your needs don't come first,
right? But that's a good point because that's part of having a healthy society is helping people as well.
Yeah.
You want your government to help you more, right? To do the best thing, to be the best father figure, God entity that there is, but that's just not humanly possible.
Yeah.
But in the process, you have to appease your people somehow, right? And so if people just say, "Hey, I'm not going to do this," well, then they got to change their tune.
Yeah.
But unless that happens, they don't have to, right? They can keep pushing certain agendas or whatever they want, and they'll keep continuing, So but it comes down to an individual response.
Have you seen that? Have you heard the thing that happened with the tennis player in China?
Yeah,
dude, that thing is crazy.
Yeah, they still haven't seen her yet.
No, to have that much control over social media to make someone just like disappear.
Put that up
like
to
that?
you.
I'm trying to figure out what.
Push it back. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah,
like that. Like if social media gets to that point, or the government has that much control like that, that shit is scary. She disappeared within like 24 hours.
Yeah.
No sight of her.
Yeah.
And the like Olympic committee talked to her, but they needed a translator.
Right.
When she speaks perfect English, and she wasn't alone, and like shit like that.
Yeah, there's no footage of it.
Yeah. Nothing.
Yeah.
It's sketchy.
It is sketchy, man, but that's kind of how they do it over there.
Yeah, which is fucking scary.
It is scary. And that's like a lot of people think that that's where America's go
with
headed.
The censorship and
yeah,
stuff.
with censorship. Yeah. Cuz look, it doesn't matter if someone disagrees with you. When you censor somebody, all you do is make people more dogmatic about what you just censored.
Yeah.
And they could be wrong. But now they're getting more dogmatic. They're more angry. They're more incentivized to keep doing it.
But I feel like even if you just have the discussion, that usually like ends in a better. It's always a better scenario.
Yes.
Like just have the discussion and like not fucking tell people that you can't say that because it's wrong. Well,
right. Tell me why.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I agree. And that's like the whole point of a dialectic is to talk. But then we go back to, all right, are we debating or are we having a conversation?
Yeah.
You know, and it's, you know, it's up to an individual. And most people have not practiced having a dialogue. They've practiced debating.
Yeah, because I feel like that's what it ends up being most of the time. It's like my opinion versus yours, and like I'm right, you're wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that. I'm gonna think about that more often.
Yeah.
When I like talk to someone.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
it changes
make a
things.
distinction between like, I'm not here to debate you. We're just here to like talk.
Yeah.
I like that.
And the problem is, what will happen is you'll find people's triggers, and then you'll see that emotional response, and you're like, oh, this has nothing to do with the facts. This has something to do with something else that you're attached to.
Huh.
You know what I mean? Because like sometimes you think, well, if this person convinces me that dudes with dicks that think they're chicks are actually dudes, then my whole system of ethics shatters too.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it's a hard thing to accept, you know, because like if you think that, right, if you think men with genitalia, J.K. Rowling, right, who think they're women, are now actually men. Like you really think that they're actually men now, and not just women in men's bodies.
Whatever they choose to.
Right.
Be.
If that now changes, then you have to look at other things differently too.
But I mean, come on.
Right, but I know. But like, there's something there that is emotionally triggering to them for them to accept that.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where you start having rough conversations, and you're like, well, I just disagree with it, and then they think that you're trying, like what you just said is threatening their like peace of mind.
Yeah.
In a way. So it's interesting, man, because like, you can't have many real conversations with people because a lot of people are still angry at something.
You think so? I feel like you can. It's just you can't have. I feel like you can't have conversations with people that you don't necessarily like.
Yeah, you don't know.
Yeah,
for
but
sure.
I feel like when you know someone well enough and you've built that, then you can have those like those type of discussions.
Yeah, and that is part of that's part of the process.
Yeah.
And like when I see these debates, like when I think back on it, it's just like, that's never going to work. It's like, it's almost like you're not really adding anything just by debating, because you don't even know the person.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know that everybody that you had the best conversations with in your life are your friends.
Absolutely.
It's not really strangers. I mean, it's very, very rare that you have a conversation with a stranger and you're like, man, that was a great conversation. We just, thought, cool things. We say some cool things. We had a great time, whatever. It's rarely going to happen like that.
Yeah.
And so like when you think about a debate, it's like, you know that you're not going to have a good conversation if you don't know the person.
Yeah.
So you guys, it's almost like to have a debate, you need to be locked in a room for 3 hours together, drinking coffee or something. You know what I mean? And then have the debate.
Yeah.
Get
to know each other a little bit.
Yeah.
And then do that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but it's just like, because you see like, you see people who, like, I don't have a lot of the same views as a lot of people that I know out here.
Yeah.
But from forming friendships, I can actually talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
And them not.
And you should be able to.
Yeah. And I am, with some people, and they don't get upset. And because they know me, and we kind of push that boundary a little bit. Little anger happens, we pull back. We laugh about something, we goof off, we do something else, and then we talk about it, and then you get angry. Okay, we back off, we go to something else. But that's the process of friendship.
Yeah.
You're not always like getting along all the time and laughing and goofing. Like, you get mad at each other sometimes, or angry or upset, and you're just like, okay, well, I'll let it go because he's a good guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
This goes back to like people like knowing that just because you think something doesn't define you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to realize.
Yeah. Like there was a lot of people with like the Trump thing where like they voted for Trump and like, oh, you must be a fucking terrible person.
Right.
It's like they're not fucking terrible. Like really good friends of mine, their parents voted for like Trump and stuff.
Yeah.
And like as much as I personally didn't like him because of like his rhetoric and stuff,
yeah,
I didn't turn to them and be like, oh, you're a fucking terrible person. Like I knew you before you even voted for him and I liked you already.
Right.
It's not like I'm gonna fucking hate you for that. It's
yeah.
like, sure, like it was your choice and your right to do it. So by all means, but like once I got to talk to them about why, it made sense.
Yeah.
To them, it made sense. So like,
yeah,
how could I be mad about that?
Yeah. And when you don't have a lot of friends who have an opposing view, you can never like really understand that.
Yeah.
You know,
living in a bubble.
Yeah. Where I grew up, it was the same. It was pretty much the same as growing up out here, politically wise.
Yeah.
Right. It's the opposite. So I didn't have much of a reference point other than just women that didn't shave. You know what I mean? Hippies. You know, just smoking weed, not shaving. It's such a stereotype, you know? But like that's it. And then you come out here and then you create friends. And they just so happen to be the opposing political influence that you grew up with.
Yeah.
And now you know them as a friend, as a person, right? Exactly what you said. And you don't, it's not that weird of a thing.
No.
You know, when they're like, oh yeah, I think that. I'm like, oh, okay. Huh, well, I guess that would make sense if you grew up here. Everybody else you know thinks that way. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. That make you a horrible person.
Absolutely not.
So, but a lot of people out here don't have friends that are conservatives. You know what I mean?
You think so?
Yeah. I've been told a couple times.
I think there's more conservatives here than people think. They're just not willing to like say it outright.
That's true.
Because
that's true.
Usually if you're conservative in LA, you get a lot of shit for it.
Right. But the majority of people in this huge city are.
You're in a huge bubble for sure.
Yeah. And when I talk to people, like I got a friend of mine, he's like, you're the only person I know who has these views. And I'm like, that's interesting. Because there's a ton of people I know who have these views. You know what I mean?
Or you'll get the I'm fiscally conservative, but socially
liberal. Yeah. And that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to agree with everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, that the party, because I think that's what gets me. Like now that I'm older, oh, okay. There's financial things and then there's social things.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to agree with everything on both of those.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and that's okay. But like, you can't say that to some people, that diehard political party people. You're like, what? You disagree with the 17 trillion dollar bill they passed or whatever? You know, it's just like, oh God. Never mind. I'm going to go get some cake or something, you know. Just say whatever to get out of that conversation. But yeah, I mean, the friendship thing is so important.
Yeah.
And then what's hard about being a friend with somebody with an opposing view is then now your friends see you with that person. And depending on how demonized that ideology is, that'll dictate if you hang out with them in public. You know?
Does it though?
Weak people.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you and me, but like a lot of people, like just because let's say somebody, you know, there's a lot of outrage on anything. Like if any athlete supports Trump, there's immediate damnation of that athlete.
Yeah.
No matter what race, religion, gender they are.
Yeah.
Right? So if you still say, hey, yeah, I'm still friends with that guy, and you're another athlete, then the media goes off after you as a supporter of a Trump supporter.
Yeah.
You know, it's gotten so silly that, you know, if you really do care about what other people think and like what news media say about you, then you might not talk to this person again.
That's
weak.
Bitch.
Yeah.
Like, come on now.
I agree, but
you don't turn your back on your friend just because of some like bit of pressure.
Well, I mean, that just exposes your character.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't have to do that. But here's the thing. You only do that because of money.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, so what if people don't like me? But if you lose sponsorships, you know, deals, brand deals.
Think about that twice.
Yeah. It's like, well, he wasn't that cool.
Don't disrespect China, baby.
Yeah, dude. John Cena.
I haven't seen it.
But you know what happened, right?
No.
So John Cena was doing a press tour for Fast and Furious 8, 75, whatever the last one was. And he was like, yeah, I can't wait to have, I think he was like, I can't wait to have our first showing in Taiwan. Doesn't seem any weird. Nothing's weird about what he said. But to China, they don't recognize Taiwan as a country.
Yeah.
Because I think they want to take it.
Yeah,
over.
they want,
right.
Yeah,
you know that. So anyways, so he said, he says Taiwan's a country by saying its name. Well, there's backlash in China for that. And the majority of the box office sales come from China. Yeah. Like drastic. It's crazy. And so apparently he knew Mandarin, John Cena. And so he does a video apology in Mandarin or Cantonese or whatever, the languages.
Yeah.
And he says he apologizes. He's like, I'm so sorry for what I said. I didn't mean to say it, blah, blah. And it's like, hold on. You're an action hero apologizing for something you said?
Who owns Fast and Furious? What company owns it?
Is it Paramount?
Is it Paramount?
Maybe.
Oh.
I'm not sure. Maybe Screen Gems. I don't know.
Okay.
Sony.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Maybe it's Sony. But yeah. Like, could you imagine? Obviously that's political.
Yeah.
That's a political
100%.
move. 100%.
Yeah.
And Hollywood is very loyal to China.
Yeah. Look at Disney.
Yeah. So anyways, so if you can't see that, it's like, we're watching two different movies.
The whole NBA thing too.
Right. Yeah, LeBron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see the South Park episode on that?
I didn't.
Dude, South Park.
They nail it every time.
They don't give a fuck.
They don't, dude. I love it.
They don't give a fuck. They made a video like basically shitting on the NBA.
Yeah.
And basically saying, China, like, we've made enough money. I don't give a fuck. Like, we will make fun of you. We don't care. Like, I got enough money in the bank where, like, you're not going to control what we say.
Right.
It was one of the best fucking, like, mini-series from South Park.
I'll have to watch that one. But
yeah, that's crazy.
So wouldn't it be funny if, like, Keanu Reeves said something against Putin and apologized in Russian? Like, what? That'd be so weak.
You know what I mean? Comes out of the Matrix.
Yeah.
And has to apologize for shit like that.
In
that's
fluent
weird.
Russian.
That's so weird.
Apologizing. You're an action hero, dude.
Yeah.
You lost me now. I can't see any of your movies anymore.
I mean, were his movies ever really good though?
Yeah, good point. Good point.
I mean, Keanu Reeves though, that'd be a shame.
Yeah.
John Wick.
Sure. For sure.
Imagine John Wick fucking kills that many people having to apologize.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, I killed a few Russian people in the movie and Putin didn't like it and I'm going to apologize. So weak.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like any apology, to be honest with you.
I'm the same.
I think it's all weak. And it's pandering. It's not like you really mean it. Especially when all the apologies sound the same.
Wait, are you talking about like apologies, like public apologies?
Yeah, public apologies.
Yeah.
They all sound the same.
Yeah.
Dude, I saw an apology from this what's that family? What's that like Christian family with like 8 kids? Christian family.
I should look that up though. I feel like public apologies as well, like besides like them being weak, they're fucking like someone told you to do it. So it's never like a genuine apology. Yeah.
Josh Duggar. So the Duggar family is this family that was on this, network. Apparently, the son, there's like, I don't know how many kids. There's a shit ton of kids. And it's just like this real, evangelical Christian family with a bunch of kids. And the son molested, I think, his sister, I want to say. And then it comes out that he had child pornography. And so now he's, went to trial for it. It's just like the family sends out this like sorry ass apology. And I'm like, well, hold up. This is your son. It's like, yeah, we don't condone these actions. I'm just like, ugh. Like, I know this is like your agent
telling you
writing something for you. And it's like, come on, dude. Like, what are we doing? Like, It's so the apologies are no longer personal. You know what I mean? And like I've never in my life demanded somebody to apologize to me.
Me either. Ever.
That's just weak.
It's weird.
It's just move on.
Yeah.
Like I've got to move on about this. Like no apology is ever going to like make me really move on.
Yeah.
Like I understand like why you want it, but at the end of the day, like if I might not ever get an apology from somebody who pissed me off or something like that. Is that going to ruin the rest of my life? Like,
yeah,
it can, but you can't let that.
Yeah.
So like for people to demand apologies from people, it's just like, who do you need an apology from?
Yeah.
Who is it deep down? Somebody didn't apologize to you. And you want all these other people to give you an apology. Like, yeah, it's going to make me feel better about my dad, It's just like, God, dude.
Yeah.
That's your issue.
I don't even like apologies, like personal apologies like that in general.
Really?
Yeah. I just, like, anyone could say sorry. It just doesn't mean shit.
Right. You got to do something different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, public apologies, man. It's a strange thing. What else here? We got
this is crazy.
Yeah?
A fucking pill?
Yeah. Yeah, the FDA panel narrowly recommends authorization of first antiviral pill to treat COVID-19. Dun, dun, dun. Expert panel voted 13 to 10 that the pill called molnupiravir should be authorized, although members expressed concerns that if used in pregnancy, it could cause birth defects. But we don't. I mean, come on. It's not that big of a deal. He says, I think we need to stop and acknowledge that the whole reason we're having this discussion is because the efficacy of this product is not overwhelmingly good. And I think that that makes all of us feel a little bit uncomfortable about the fact whether this is an advance therapeutically because it's an oral medication, not an intravenous medication. Yeah, so it's developed by the same company that distributes...
The Pfizer, no?
No, it's Merck.
Oh.
Merck, and they actually distribute Mectin-Ivor.
What's that? I have no idea what that is.
Ivermectin.
Oh.
You know what that is, right?
No.
Ivermectin?
I know I've heard it before.
So that's part of like the concoction that people have been taking to get rid of COVID.
Yeah. Okay.
Or help their symptoms with COVID, right? It's that and then monoclonal antibodies, and then a few other things.
I was just listening to this thing about on Joe Rogan. There was like a board certified doctor that had just gone on there.
Yeah,
and how they were taking. He was like, when the pandemic first happened, he saw like how the hospitals were being like flooded. And he was trying to figure out how do we actually like treat people before they even get to the hospital, because once they're in the hospital, it's a little too late.
Yeah.
And it's like, like that was, I think maybe in the fitness, not just in the fitness world, but that was like a lot of I feel like the consensus between everyone was like, well, there's a lot of talk about like vaccinations and stuff, but there isn't enough talk about like, make sure you're healthy. Like,
right.
Fucking make sure you're exercising, make sure you're not eating like shit. And like, what are things that we can prevent or increase your chances of like surviving COVID? You can, if I'm being honest, I feel like it'd be really hard to like prevent getting COVID. It's just like,
right. Doesn't seem like you can really prevent it.
Yeah. But can you increase your chances of actually being healthy and like being able to survive it if you do get it? And this has nothing to do with vaccination. It's just like, make us healthier. We should, as a society, we should strive to be healthier.
Right. You'll find this interesting. I brought this article up with my friend Grace the other day. U.S. Surgeon General cautions about the devastating youth mental health crisis following rising numbers of suicide and depression. So this kind of goes along with the preventative aspect, right?
Yeah.
It's been widely reported that during the pandemic, drug use increased drastically, but sadly, there has been a devastating trend regarding the youth mental health crisis. According to the U.S. Surgeon General, the pandemic has contributed to an alarming rise of depression and suicide in young boys and girls. They report that mental health struggles among the youth was already concerning before COVID-19 pandemic began back in 2020, but as the pandemic continued on, there is now a mental health crisis that is of enormous concern. U.S. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy recently produced a 53-page advisory explicitly detailing the devastating consequences to the mental health of young people if the issue proceeds to go unaddressed. In his document, it was highlighted that during 2019 and 2021, emergency room visits for suicide attempts went up 51%.
Wow.
For young girls and 4% for boys.
That is crazy.
Additionally, depression and anxiety rates doubled during the same time period, as 25% of children reportedly were diagnosed with anxiety and depressive symptoms. Discussing his findings, Murthy explained, "It would be a tragedy if we beat back one public health crisis only to allow another to grow in its place. Mental health challenges in children, adolescents, and young adults are real and they are widespread, but most importantly, they are treatable and often preventable." He added that virtual schooling and being away from friends and extracurricular activities also contributed to this sad reality. Even before the pandemic, this is his quote, "Even before the pandemic, an alarming number of young people struggle with feelings of helplessness, depression, and thoughts of suicide, and rates have increased over the past decade. The COVID-19 pandemic further altered their experiences at home, school, and in the community, and the effect on their mental health has been devastating," he said. You'll recall, this is the last part, you'll recall that there has been years of discussion regarding the impact of social media on the youth and how it affects their mental health in ways that include suicide, drug use, depression, and body dysmorphia. Here's the thing. No shit. No shit, dude. Just like getting vitamin D and getting sun is going to help you with any type of virus.
Yeah.
But you didn't talk about that. You know? So don't act like, like, I can't believe this is happening.
Yeah.
You know, you shut kids in a room all day. You don't let them interact with each other.
Dude,
their mental health is going to be affected.
Just as an adult, like staying at home all day, you feel like shit.
Oh, I did that yesterday and felt like shit.
You feel like shit. Like if I don't leave my place by like noon, I feel like shit. I feel like I didn't do anything all day.
Yeah.
So like having kids and like, I mean, before, like, dude, how many corporate people work at a desk like 10 hours a day in an office and like feel like shit? And now you expect kids to do that?
Right.
Like kids who can't even, we can't even focus for that long. And you want kids to do that? Like, it's sad.
Yeah.
I kind of on this like topic, I want to say like a month ago, I was listening somewhere, I think I want to say, somewhere on the East Coast, maybe Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say, I don't know. But there was this like growing debate in like the school board meetings that were like it got a lot of coverage, it got a lot of media coverage because it was like this huge debate of like parents about like reopening schools and stuff. And there was a teacher that like got interviewed and she's like, these meetings are so stupid because you guys are debating on like whatever your opinion on like no mask wearing and stuff, where like, yeah, sure, you can debate about that, but there's nothing being done for like what's actually happening now. Like I have kids in my class that don't know how to talk to each other. I have kids that don't know like how to be a leader. Mm-hmm. Like the interaction that these kids missed and like where you develop the social cues of like being in school, like kids don't have that. So like on top of like all this mental health issues, like these kids they're like awkward. They're not developing like the skills they need.
Yeah. Because
they haven't been in school. There's no social gatherings. So like that's a big part of like also developing is like the social aspect of like you need to be around other people.
Yeah.
Like you just need that. Which is like, it's just weird. Like I can't imagine not having that as a kid.
Well, I mean, yeah. And going back to this article, I mean, they act like this came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And the way they say it is like, in his document, it was highlighted that during 2019 and 2021, emergency room visits for suicide attempts went up 51% for young girls. What about 2020? I mean, that's the year we shut down.
Yeah.
Do you want to put that in? Like 2019 means nothing to me unless you want to act like this was a thing that was happening before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And just think about that. And then the last paragraph is this blanket statement. You'll recall that there has been years of discussion regarding the impact of social media on the youth and how it affects their mental health in ways that include suicide, drug use, depression, and body dysmorphia. What in the shutdown? For years we've been talking about how social media has been messing them up. So keep that in mind. Don't get too mad about the shutdown.
I do think they did say the shutdown added to it. I think they downplayed a little bit like the impact that it actually had, but they did say it just added to that.
But you can tell the flare at the end. It's like, that doesn't help us. Yeah. Yes, we've all known that social media is like when you give a kid a phone and social media, it's not good for them.
Yeah.
Like we've already had those studies on depression and suicide. But now a 51% spike in girls in emergency rooms attempting suicide.
Yeah, it is weird that it said in this document it was highlighted that during 2019 and 2021.
Right. Yeah. Like this was happening before. But yeah, dude, it's like that was, as a trainer, those two things are what we have issues with.
Yeah. You
wanna scare people into getting a vaccine and make them feel as that's the only thing that they can do for themselves to protect themselves or something to do as a preventative, right? That's it. Tell them to work out. Tell them,
Eat better.
But that doesn't make them money, That doesn't make a pharmaceutical company money. So you can't say that.
I have this debate with my mom all the time.
Yeah.
Because I had to get vaccinated. I did get vaccinated.
Yeah.
But before that, my mom was like, so when are you going to get like your vaccine? I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm making sure like I'm walking, I'm eating well, I'm like keeping my body like healthy to make sure like that. If I do end up getting it, knock on wood, I still haven't gotten COVID. But
yeah,
if I do end up getting it, I'm gonna like increase my chances of like being okay. Like I am doing something. I'm doing something every day to make sure that like I'm healthy.
Right.
I'm not just like throwing my hands up in the air and saying, "Oh, this is the only way to do it." Like,
yeah,
I'm doing something that's like preventing me from getting sick.
Yeah.
Like, and I was just having that debate with her. It's like,
and she was like, "You need to get vaxxed now."
Well, I mean, she just like older woman, news, scared.
Right, of course.
My mom thinks like everything in the world is bad. Like, don't do that. That's dangerous. I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, it was just like, and it's even worse when like I see her like not eating well sometimes. I'm like, well, what are you doing there?
Right.
Like, I mean, I'll call her out on it. Not trying to be like an asshole, but like I'll play with her. Like, well, like, look, you got vaccinated, but like, do you think it stops there?
Right.
Like, that's not the only thing that's going to do something. Like, how about you increase your chances like with other stuff?
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a big issue with that.
Yeah.
It's just like, no, they weren't telling anyone to get healthier. Like, these are other things you can do.
Yeah. Physically or mentally.
Yeah.
Right. And now we act like this is like, dude, there's no way. Like, if my kid was in a shutdown, like I would find something for him to do outside. I would have him outside doing something. Yeah. Or her, like they would be outside doing something. Like, absolutely. I would form like a neighborhood kids society. Like they would have to get together.
Yeah.
Especially when their chances of surviving COVID are like the chances of dying for a kid are so low. It's almost like unheard of.
Yeah. And when you're outside, it's like, it's really hard to get COVID.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
let's be honest.
If you ask some of the joggers around here, they'd beg to differ. You ever see those joggers with a mask on?
Yeah. Or people on bikes.
Oh yeah, on bikes too.
Makes no sense.
It's like you're going so fast.
Dude, there was there was like 4 times where like I was around people who had COVID, but I was outside. Like I was playing soccer, and like this happened twice. Like someone came, they didn't realize they had COVID, but we played, and everyone like as soon as you found out, it's like, okay, you got to like quarantine, go get tested. Not a single person got COVID off of those people.
Wow.
One of my best friend, someone at his job or his dad got sick on like Saturday or like Friday, was feeling bad. Clearly he's around his dad. Sunday, we saw him at the beach. He jumped on top of my friend. Like we were like, like close contact.
Yeah.
Not a single of us got COVID. And that happened like 2 more times.
Wow.
Like after that, I understand like there's whatever research you want to read, but like personal experience, if you're outside, it is hard to get COVID. And I'm not saying like other people, I'm sure other people like got COVID right away just by being outside. But my personal experience, like it was so hard to get COVID that being outside, I felt so comfortable.
Right.
I felt so comfortable.
Yeah.
At that point, I was like, I don't feel like I need to wear a mask outside, especially if I'm running or on a bike. Like me going past you like 20 miles per hour is going to give you COVID.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Well, I mean, I think so. I think I agree with you. I'm saying I agree with you. I don't think it would. But yeah, you got some paranoid people out here that love to wear that mask. I mean, but like, I understand it because like if you're watching CNN all day and you see that death toll on the corner,
the little clicker,
well, you're gonna be less stressed. You know? Nah, you're gonna be more stressed for sure, for sure. But man, it's I was what was I? When did I gave it to one of my clients because we were in a closed room. Yeah. But I was thinking, man, I don't know if I'm gonna give it to him because that was like 4 days later. Or maybe 3 days later, and he didn't text me or anything. But like, I think on the 4th day, he was like, "Yeah, I feel coming on." I'm like, "Dang, crap." But my mom took care of my sister when she had COVID. Yeah. At the house, never got it. Like she's a nurse. She's around all the time. Never got it. Huh. Like I'm so confused. I mean, I'm very thankful that she hasn't gotten it, but like she's been around people a lot who have it and has like as a nurse, you if you like have been exposed to someone with COVID, you have to go home for like 7 days, I think, and test and see if
like your cool off period type thing.
Some type of self quarantine. And then if you haven't, and they pay you. Yeah. And then if you haven't tested positive, I think in 7 days, then you can come back. She's done that like 3 times. Wow. Yeah. She's had exposures or whatever. And nothing. Never got it. Huh. So it's weird. Like some people are more susceptible to it, I feel like. Because getting it and stuff? It gets into the nose first, right? Yeah. And that's where it kind of like starts to grow.
And then
Yeah. Because I've got a nasal spray that I use to kind of like as a preventative.
Maybe my fucked up nose is helping me, man. Fuck, they can't even get in there. Clogged nostril. Might be it, dude. Man, I hope so.
That's funny, man.
Yeah,
check this out. Flu survivors still immune after 90 years. 9 decades on, survivors of the 1918 flu still produce antibodies that can neutralize the reconstructed virus. Kyle sent that to me today.
Kyle's posts on his stories always crack me.
They kill me, man.
Always crack me.
They kill me. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. This is pretty cool, too. The world is getting a black box to document civilization's downfall. Earth Black Box is currently constructing a giant monolith on the west coast of Tasmania, Australia, that will function as an indestructible black box to record climate change and its path towards catastrophe for our planet. According to reports, the structure is made from 3-inch thick steel and carries an array of solar panels on the roof to power its massive inventory of storage devices inside.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Like it's gotten so bad that people are like, yeah, we need a black box for our planet. Not just an airplane. You know what a black box is, right? So it's like in airplanes, they have a black box, which is like all the recordings.
Yeah.
They're stored in it. So like if a plane crashes, you can find the black box because it's like indestructible. Yeah. Like when a plane explodes, like everything
that's what you
up,
get.
But that stays, yeah. And so you can kind of like figure out, oh, were they dropping, speed or what happened? Did an engine go out or something like that? But yeah, we need one for the planet now. You think people stress out way too much about global warming? Like stress out. Not saying it's not an issue that could, it's obviously something you got to take care of a planet that you live on. No shit.
I don't think. I'm gonna say no.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
That's good.
I think there's definitely
nobody that you hang out with.
Yeah, I definitely notice it, and the only reason I notice things changing because I grew up in Santa Monica. So like I think back of like what summers were back then, what like winters were, and what spring was back then, and sometimes in certain years, and like I've seen a trend of things changing. So I always find that a little weird. Mm-hmm. Like what's currently happening doesn't like click in my head of what it used to be, but I don't think I stress about it. Like, yeah, I definitely don't stress about it.
Yeah.
Like there's times where like in the, like, let's say in summer, it's like 90 degrees here. Where like growing up, the highest you'd ever get to was like 82. So like, that's a big difference from like growing up. Or like, I remember June gloom was a thing, right?
Right.
Where like in June, it was actually like, there was a bunch of fog. It was cloudy, and by like midday, it was gone. Now I think everything's being pushed a little later. Mm-hmm. So like the seasons are kind of changing, but I don't think I ever really stress about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just been around people who really stress about it?
No.
Really?
No.
That's good.
Have you? Do you think most people stress about it?
I don't know if most people do, but I find that it's more women.
Huh.
I feel like it's more women and then sensitive men. And LA sensitive.
What do they get stressed about? Like, or like, I gotta pick up this plastic straw, or I can't do that. Like that type of stressing.
I don't ever see anybody freak out about stuff like that. But like big scale stuff.
Okay.
Like fossil fuels.
Yeah.
Cars, like stuff like that. I think people stress about, but like I don't see anybody freaking out about it. Like personal experience. But the people that I do see freaking out about it are always females, it seems.
Huh.
Like if I see a video, somebody freaking out about it. I feel like that's something that you just can't control.
You can control, but I feel like you
can't stop using a car.
Yeah. But I feel like there are certain things that you can consciously do to like minimize.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm not sure.
But to the point where you're stressing out about people, like the whole world using cars, it's like, man, that's a long.
We're made to use our cities are built to use cars. Like I'm not gonna not use my car.
Right.
Like,
well, you're a bad person, dude. You are a bad person.
I would love being a bad person.
I'm a bad boy.
I like using reusable water bottles.
Yeah, you're real bad. Ooh,
yeah.
Recycling too.
It is. I have to say it is. Well, in LA, you don't even have to recycle. Like, you don't have to have separate bins for recycling.
Oh, okay.
They do everything at like the plant wherever they take the trash. They do it there.
It goes to the same place?
Yeah, same place.
Got it.
But they do everything. But I do have to say, I don't stress about it, but when I hear stories of like, or I see like the weather in different parts of the country,
right,
that does make me think like, oh shit, like there's like extreme weather. I mean, there's always extreme weather, but just like over the years, like this past summer, like Washington fucking got that crazy heat wave. Mm-hmm. Seeing that, I was like, well, fuck, like I'm kind of glad I live in SoCal.
Right.
Because we don't really get much of that. It's always like our temperature doesn't change much.
Yeah.
And
Until today.
Well, but then I see like the other parts of the country that are like going through like blizzards or like extreme heat waves and shit. Or like was it last year where Texas got like snowed in or something like that?
Yeah.
Like stuff like that where it's like,
it was like January of this year, I think.
Where it's like, it's weird, but like, it doesn't really affect me, so I don't stress about it.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I find it interesting to see, what things that people like really dig their heels in on, like really like it just brings out a different part of them, Yeah. It's interesting because, people get excited about all kinds of stuff. Some people like, I'll get excited talking about fighting, and to like some people when I bring that up, they're like, dude, calm down. They feel like just talking about fighting is like too much to take. You know what I mean? But yeah, like some people love talking about global warming and stuff like that. But I never hear a poor person talk about global warming. You know what I mean?
They're too worried about other shit.
Yeah. I just need it. Give me the scraps. I'll take that. Don't put it in the recycling bin. Just bring it up here. You know what I mean? Like no one's ever stressing about that.
Yeah. I feel like the world stuff, it's like hard to stress about for me because it's like I care more about like what's happening locally.
Yeah, and you can control more of that.
Yeah.
Or at least attempt to.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's one of those things like depending on like the family that you were raised in and like your socioeconomic status, that kind of dictates like what types of things you're into.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
Global warming's more of an upper class kind of thing to stress about.
If you have time to like look up world news, you're probably doing right.
Yeah. Like, I can't believe it's hotter in Washington.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm a bigger stress. Like when you have other shit to stress about, that's the last thing in your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
I believe that.
Yeah. Like you don't hear too many poor people coming out as like trans either.
No.
They just don't have the time.
You also just get smacked.
Yeah, that is true.
That's it.
Yeah. But like it's not that common of a thing, you know?
Yeah, absolutely not.
Like celebrities' kids are more, it's more like them coming out, or like, you know, some bit CEO's daughter is like trans now or something like that. You know?
When you're comfortable, you got a lot more time to think about shit and dwell into other things.
Yeah.
Like
the less attached you are to your body, the more you think about. Like I do feel like, and I'm not saying this is good or bad. I don't know. But what I think is, the more men get away from using their bodies the way that men should have to use their bodies to survive, right, in the wilderness, like, which is how we were designed, right? The more you identify in who you are. The less you do it, the less you do, right? The less you do of anything, the less you identify in it, right? And I think that, like, I just watched a documentary, dude. You would love this. It's called Happy People. A Year in the Taiga.
Is this a very old documentary?
Like in the 90s.
Is this about like
Russian? It's like a bunch of Russian fur trappers.
Oh, okay, no.
And they live in the Siberian wilderness in Russia. Just like miles and miles of tundra, I guess, of Siberian wilderness. And they live in this little tribe on the riverbank. And the only way you can have access to this place is through boat. You can take a boat to this place or a helicopter. There's no roads to it.
Yeah.
And so what they do, all of these guys are trappers pretty much in this village, and they just go out into the woods and set traps. It's a whole year process. And so the documentary follows them for a year, and they're just connected with the land, you know, living how we've lived, like humans have lived for hundreds of years, thousands of years.
Yeah.
And they have such a connection with who they are and with nature that it's like people growing up in a city just couldn't get
that. Yeah,
you just can't get that.
Yeah.
So I think the more you get away from how you're physically designed, the more the mind is going to change in identifying different things. You know?
Yeah.
Like I've never had a thought of being a woman. Never thought that. But when I see people who do, some of them I can understand.
Yeah.
Because like you've lived a really soft life. You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying like you're weak or anything, but like you haven't had much adversity, it seems, in your life. Like to, you know, because like not too many athletes come out as trans.
No. I don't think too many come out as gay either.
Right. Some of them are.
Yeah.
But there's something about the physicality of masculinity. Like when you do it, it's like you identify in it more, right? That's how I feel.
I mean, I gotta say, fucking playing sports and lifting make me feel fucking good.
Right. Yeah. You just feel manly.
I feel like a guy.
Yeah, I feel like a guy. I feel like a guy, man. I'm a guy. Yeah. So I don't know. I've got a friend that transitioned, and I don't I haven't talked to him. Well, not really a friend, but he's his acquaintance. And I haven't seen him since he did it, and I haven't had that conversation with him. But those are interesting conversations. Because to me, I couldn't think of...
Was he like, did he have a good life growing up?
I don't know. I don't know him that well. Yeah. It seems like a lot of psychological trauma happens to people who end up, what do you say, thinking that they're trans or transitioning and being trans, I guess. And I didn't make that up, you know? The data shows that like people that deal with depression also deal with this.
Huh.
Yeah. Which is scary because now if you're dealing with feeling like you're a woman and you're a man, and you're willing to go through with a physical altering procedure.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I feel like that would affect you psychologically no matter what.
Like going through the process of it?
Yeah. Good and bad. I don't know. But I mean, that just seems so...
I feel like that's a big life-changing event and must.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
It's got to be, man. I mean, you've lived your whole life and you've gone through puberty with these parts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then again, I kind of understand how, you know, when you were a kid and you wanted to be an animal?
Yeah.
Like everybody had their favorite animal. And if you could if there was a procedure to become your favorite animal, I'd have done it. I would have 100% become a cheetah.
Yeah, but when you're a kid, you don't understand what that actually means.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're just a kid. You're like, I could be a fucking gorilla, or I could be like a bird. Like, but when you're older.
But dude, it would be awesome.
It would be fucking awesome. It would be awesome.
The only problem is like my favorite animal would switch every month. You know, depending on what National Geographic documentary I was watching, you know. It's like, cheetahs are cool, but those tigers, they're pretty big. So it's like, you know, you change what you like, but I remember in Batman Beyond, you remember that cartoon? Batman Beyond?
I've seen so many Batmans, I don't think I know.
It's like a Batman in the future, where he's like a black suit and a red...
Oh, yeah.
Well, there's this thing called splicing in the future, where all these guys would like splice their DNA with animal DNA. And it would still be human-like, but like have human or animal parts. Yeah. You know, like animal fur and stuff like that. I was like, dude, I'm doing that. I'm doing that so that I can become Batman. Okay, that's what he's doing wrong. He needs to splice with a bat. Come on, man. We don't need you to be human.
Yeah, how is he the only superhero that's like full human, right?
Well, he's not the only one, but like he's one of, yeah.
But he has no superpowers.
No superpowers. He just
Where are the other ones?
I'd have to phone a friend on this one, but I feel like there are some. But yeah, he doesn't have it. Yeah, just a utility belt.
Yeah,
and a fast car, and billions of dollars.
A deep voice.
And a deep voice, the deepest voice, dude. That is scary though. You know, think about somebody coming up behind you in the middle of the night in an alley somewhere with a deep voice.
And he's supposed to help you?
He's supposed to help you. Oh, man, dude.
Yeah, dude, the Scottish thing is still kind of weird.
The J.K. Rowling thing, yeah.
That's so weird.
Yeah, and people are mad at her for thinking that. You know, for even thinking. Like, to me, that sounds like someone who hasn't dealt with rape.
The person who's like mad about it?
Yeah. Like if you can't understand where she's coming from, then I think you're really detached from the process of rape. But maybe they have. I mean, maybe you know. I don't want to say brainwashed, but
I don't understand, like, are they saying that I'm a dude?
Right.
If you
rape someone,
but I say I'm a woman, does that just not count as rape anymore?
No. So the problem is, it's going to be logged into statistics as female.
Oh, female rape.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's yeah.
It's like, why would we do that? You know what I mean? Like,
that.
now we're going to have false information.
Yeah.
Now we're making judgment calls based on false information.
Yeah. That's not good.
Yeah, it's not healthy.
The fucking Scottish.
But like, you know, it's a weird thing, man, cuz like you believe these things, and if you can change how someone speaks about it, then you can control it. Right?
Yeah.
And anytime someone's trying to control what you're saying, that's not healthy.
So you're saying they're trying to make that a normal thing.
Right, yeah. They're trying to, yeah, for sure. I mean, and coming at J.K. Rowling and saying, you know, how could you do that? You're transphobic. Because that's what they say.
Yeah.
You're transphobic because you think that this man is a man. And you're not acknowledging this woman. Right? So you have to acknowledge me as what I deem myself to be before we can have a conversation. And if you're not willing to acknowledge me that way, well then we don't need to have you speaking. That's healthy.
Weird. Yeah, that's weird.
You know, that's not a like, how can you have an honest conversation that way?
Yeah. My brother actually a couple of times has told me that, like, when he's met women or men, where like his natural thing to say is like dude or like female to like, you know, and he's done that and they've approached him like, oh, don't call me that. Like, I don't want to be called that. It was like, well, first of all, I don't know you.
Right.
So I don't even know what to call you if I don't know your name, but this is the way I'm going to approach you. So like, don't tell me how to like acknowledge you when I don't even know you.
Right.
Like once I've known you and stuff, and you can like, we can have the discussion of like, this is how you like pronouns, whatever the hell you want to use.
Yeah.
But it's like when you first like
how am I supposed to know?
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that, but it's just like, you can't, it's almost like saying like, my opinion is right, so yours is wrong, and you can't have an opinion about it, which is just weird.
Yeah, it's not healthy.
Yeah,
and that's how like that's how every authoritative government or political party starts taking over. You know, they start controlling your speech.
Yeah.
Now you can't say this. Now, if you do say this, there's consequences.
That's how you disappear when you say.
Yeah. You say anything about getting molested by a Chinese politician.
Yeah. You're gone.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
That's, man. And where are our feminist activists? Where are they?
Well, I feel like it's hard when it's like a different country.
True. I'm not saying it's the same.
Yeah.
But where are they?
Yeah.
Are they asking for answers? You know, I haven't seen anything. It's not in the mainstream news.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think a lot of people don't. So when I talk to people out here, they don't see the other side of anything CNN or MSNBC. Just because that's just not what they grew up watching.
Yeah.
But there's a whole different network. And I'm just not saying Fox. I barely watch Fox, but there's other people online.
Yeah.
Right? That are putting out information. And the old idea thinking that like only your major news media outlets are telling you the truth. If you still believe that, you just haven't kept up with the lies.
Yeah. I feel like older people tend to believe that more than like younger people.
Right.
But because in the past it was like that. But clearly or at least we thought it was
the only
like
option.
That. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it had to be.
Yeah.
Quote unquote had to be, right? But yeah, people when it's tough for you to accept that though.
Yeah.
You know? It's like what I really thought was interesting was during this whole pandemic talking about, you know, the vaccines and stuff. It's like, hey, don't say don't take the vaccine. Always say you should check with your doctor.
Wait, say that again?
People get in trouble online for saying, hey, don't take the vaccine because they're not a medical professional.
Yeah. So it's like discuss with your doctor whether you should take it or not.
Right. Yeah. But there are doctors that will tell you not to take it. So if I say don't take it, why would that get me demonetized? Or, I'm not saying I am. I'm just saying if someone were to say that, why would that be shut down? Why would that be demonetized? If a doctor does say that.
Like if a doctor goes online and says it?
No, I mean, if a doctor says, hey, the same thing that I say, like if I were just relaying information, because obviously people are allergic to some of the ingredients.
Yeah.
This is a fact, right?
Yeah.
A doctor in his right mind would say, hey, you might not want to take this because of an allergic reaction. If I were to say something like that, but just not be a doctor, I could possibly get deplatformed.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
It's just like, it's interesting because the doctor can give two pieces of advice. He could say, hey, take it or don't take it.
Yeah.
But if I say it, I could get deplatformed.
I think that should depend on like the way you are relaying the message. Like if there's a clear, like, if you're allergic to this, don't take it. Then like, absolutely. But it goes both ways. Like you shouldn't like be saying like there has to be I don't know, misinformation is hard because there's some people that like are actually like skewing the information, and there's some people that are actually like relaying information, like useful information.
Yeah.
And that's what you don't like. You want that. You don't want people like just saying wild shit and saying take it or don't take it.
Right. In a perfect world, you'd rather have more people with the right information giving out recommendations.
But you're right. This does go back to censoring.
Right.
Like at the end of the day, you should also be able to make that decision between yourself, like listen to this person or not listen to this person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then why do we have to listen to the few media options that we have?
Yeah.
Who made you guys right?
Yeah.
Oh, you did. Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Now I get it. But people don't think of it that way.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But
is it okay?
And look, people enjoy not when you're working all the time, like your parents did, and like my parents did. When you're working all the time, you don't have time to keep up with the news.
Yeah, you just like
you get little bits. Like I would talk to my mom, who is a nurse.
Yeah,
and I would tell her all this other information that she doesn't hear, and she's like, "Well, I've never heard that from anybody," and I'm like, "I know, but here's a source. Here's all these sources," and she's like, "Yeah, but Cody, I haven't heard this from anybody in the hospital, from any doctors." I'm like, "I know." And then she started having friends her age tell her, hey, this, and this is happening. She's like, what? You're saying the exact same stuff my son said. And I'm like, yeah. I said, because there's more to media than just
the media.
The main channels on TV. And those channels aren't always giving you the most, all the information.
Yeah.
Because there's agendas, But to someone of our parents' age, it's like, that's just kind of like, what? Because they've worked their whole life.
Yeah.
They're not sitting by the TV every minute of the day, like, oh my God, I wonder what's happening in politics. It's too busy. They're raising kids. They're going to soccer games. Like, they don't have time for that shit.
That's why that's why sometimes I like, there was a moment when like all the COVID shit was happening and I was just like, you know what? Like, I don't want to like, I'm just going to like, to take a step back and like detach myself from like everything going on, and I'd walk outside and like you'd never know that like it was going on. Like we were like, I mean, besides seeing people with masks and shit, but like you never know that like things were that bad.
Right.
It's like once you like, it is that like once you're there and like it's all you see and you keep getting that, it's like it really does change. Like you're talking about our parents. Like our parents just didn't have time to like really care about like other shit that like we're looking up. And it's just like, I just want give me what I need, and then let me focus on my community. Let me focus on like here, and not have to worry about like all this other shit that like it matters, but like, does it matter that much? Like, I feel like your community matters way more than like having to fight with someone on Twitter who lives in fucking, I don't know where in the US, but
yeah. And if you got kids, like, you're just trying to feed your kids.
Yeah.
Like that is hard.
Yeah.
Like, not everybody gets to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's a hard thing to do, is to feed your kids, especially if you have more than one.
Fuck, feeding myself is hard.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, I would listen to way less news. I would do a lot things less.
Yeah. But you are right that you need to do a little more of like getting your news from other sources.
Yeah.
And then making like your own conclusion of it.
Yeah.
Like, the big networks aren't going to give you everything. They're just not.
No, they're not. But it's okay to come to that realization too.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of those things where you talk to people and they're like, what? How do you listen to who? What are their credentials?
Yeah.
You know, it's back to that doctor thing. Well, if he's not a doctor, then why are you taking advice from him? It's like everything he knows about medical school, I can Google.
Yeah. But I do have to say, with that stuff, you do need people to have some type of credential.
Sure.
To like,
yeah.
There's some certain people who have spent like years and years in practice.
For sure.
Like, not talking about doctors, like talking about like fitness, right?
Yeah.
Like, someone, like, the experience that we've had, the experience that like other trainers we know have had who've like trained people, is sometimes that experience is more valuable, because like someone could go online right now and look up everything we know. Yeah. But if someone went to them, I'd be like, really? Like, you should go to someone. So to some degree, there should be like, you should listen to the people that have the credentials.
For sure.
But yeah.
Their opinion has more value.
Yes.
Because of credentials, for sure. But is it the ultimate truth on the subject?
No, absolutely not.
Maybe not. Yeah. That and that's kind of like the same thing with, you know, the media as well. It's like, okay, yeah, this guy I got this information from doesn't have a network behind him, but like, follow what he said. Yeah. You know, there's this study, that study. If you want to take time, I don't have the time. Okay, well then that's a different story. Yeah,
that's a different story. Yeah.
And that's usually what happens when I talk to people. Like, you know, I'm trying to like, oh, where'd you hear that? And I'm like, well, this, and this. And they're like, yeah, it's... You can tell that they just don't want to spend the time. Yeah. And that's fine. Like, I think a lot of people take that, they take it personal. You know, like we were talking at the very beginning, it's like when you realize that when someone's angry, like all the time, or like angry at you, it's usually they're angry at something else. Yeah, has nothing to do with you. Yeah, it has nothing to do with you. It's their own thing. So like when you have those conversations and someone's like, oh, no, it's like, oh, that's their thing. Yeah, they don't want it. It doesn't really matter that much to them, really, at the end of the day. Because I feel like at the end of the day, a lot of people are wishy-washy with what they think. You know, it just depends on if it's getting in the way of something that they need to get. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, not a lot of people want to really like struggle any more than they have to. Yeah. You know, they're not going to make their life any harder than necessary. I'm pretty hard-headed, so apparently I do it a lot. I make my life harder for me. You know, sometimes I get fired from places, you know, for how I how I see things. I feel like sometimes you have to, though. You gotta say. I think so. I think that's how you. I don't know if that case you were being hard-headed. You just gotta stand your ground. No, I'm making a joke. Yeah. I'm making a joke. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you gotta stand for something. Yeah. And for me, like, that was like, if you're listening to this, which I have 2 viewers, I got fired for defending myself at work. But yeah, with that kind of stuff, like, I was not taught to back down. Yeah, no way. So it's like, I didn't have an option with who I identified as. I didn't have an option. There was no like second guessing what was going to happen. And you know,
that dude was definitely the kid who, like, if someone said they were gonna punch him, be like, I'm gonna go tell my parents.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, was never allowed to get punched.
Yeah, and then he got too big.
Yeah,
it's
people
like
were just afraid.
Yeah, that's what I always was mad at. Like, when we had a couple one trainer in particular that was there, and I always had issues with.
Yeah,
bigger guy. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And because as a wrestler, I would always wrestle the heavyweight.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't have a problem doing that. But a lot of people don't do that.
Yeah.
Unless you're a wrestler, you just don't do that. So you don't really know what it is to have a fight or a scuffle with a bigger guy.
Yeah.
You're just thinking, oh, well, he's bigger than me. He might be able to beat me and beat me up or something like that if you never do it. But like for me, it's like it's kind of like I always want to, just because I know that's going to stop that guy from acting that way.
Yeah.
He needs it.
Yeah.
It's not like a I hate this person, but it's like he needs this because he's being a shitty person because he hasn't gotten it yet.
Yeah. Dude, it's like the thing where like I contribute this to having an older brother, but like you when you're younger, you know where to draw the line because you know someone is gonna pop you in the mouth.
Right.
Like you can't run your mouth because there's always someone that's gonna like fuck you up.
Right.
And when you're bigger like that, you think no one can fuck you up.
Yeah.
So someone needs to fuck you up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need it.
But it's funny that I was thinking about you the other day actually. But I was hearing this, I forgot, maybe it was, I don't know where I heard it, but it was saying like most martial artists or people who practice some type of martial art are always the calmest people.
Yeah.
Like they don't ever like, and I feel, if I'm being honest, I think I agree with, I think you're a calm person.
Oh.
Like you're not.
Don't tell Courtney that.
You don't necessarily like, being calm doesn't mean you're not afraid of confrontation. Like you'll confront people, but you're very calm about it until it's like, because like when you know you can fuck someone up, you don't have to puff your chest out.
Right.
Because you know you can fuck them up.
Yeah.
So like, I remember there was times where like, you had told me like you confronted someone. I'm like, wow, like most people wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Like people are just like avoid confrontation and all. And I like,
I've been guilty of it.
Yeah. Same. Like there's times where like, it feels very awkward to confront someone, but like, and there's times where I haven't done it and there's times where I have, but to do that and to like kind of bring it back to people who practice martial arts, like, and you tend to be very, very calm, even in confrontation. Like, I'm sure you probably feel, maybe you don't, you feel nervous and stuff, but you don't let that.
Yeah. You get nervous for sure.
Yeah.
But you've been in that situation a lot, so you deal with it.
Exactly.
It's like you get nervous before every soccer game.
Yeah.
You just deal with it.
Yeah.
So it becomes the same as that. When you
I have
do
no
it,
idea where the fuck I went with that. How I even related to what we were talking about.
Just being calm with confrontation.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, people like big guys need their ass beat.
For sure.
And that is the problem. When they're big, nobody checks them.
Which,
and you know what's so funny about that guy? He was, after what I did to him, and he could not get up.
Still talking shit.
He was like, "We want to go outside?"
I remember you talking.
It's like, oh, I should have beat his ass more. Like, he really needs an ass beat. Like this, he needs to just be held down and slapped around like a bitch. Like, he really needs that. Because after what I did, I picked him up, dropped him, held him down. He couldn't get up. Get off me, get off me. I'm just holding him down.
Still things.
He's 6'5", 250. Change. I'm 5'11", 185 pounds. He still gets up and he's like, hey, well, you want to go outside?
Like anything's going to change.
Obviously, he's never been checked.
Yeah.
Because he just popped up like nothing happened. I was confused. I was like, did something happen? Did I just? Because he's not acting like anything happened. It was weird. But it makes sense because you know him and I know him.
Yeah.
And the way he acts, it makes sense.
Yeah.
You know,
for sure.
It's so crazy though.
I almost wish that like you would have gone outside, because I feel like if you were outside, then like you'd no longer, not that at the moment you like thought about the job, but like
I did.
You did?
That's why I held back.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. If you were outside at that moment, I feel like you would have let loose a little bit more.
Yeah.
But that was never going to happen.
But he was pushing me.
Yeah.
I defended myself. I held him down.
I still think it's quite bullshit what happened to you.
Yeah.
But
that's corporate.
Yeah.
And weak people.
Yeah.
Weak people, dude.
Very weak people.
So, dude, it's so funny because, like, you know, we worked at the same place, and you hear your managers talk about leadership, and you're like, well, I guess they know because they're managers. I should have never second guessed myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And after how they just never, I've had no responses from anybody. No one's reached out to me. After seeing that, I will never allow someone to talk to me about leadership again.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, Manny, if you've never led in a way where you put your physical body on the line for other people, what do you know about leadership?
Yeah, you don't know much.
Because what are your stakes?
It's just all talk.
Yeah, what are the stakes here in a class project where you're, you got to get this assignment in? What are the stakes here? Oh, you get an F?
Bad grade, yeah.
What? Your body's not into it. There's something about putting your body on the line for what you want to do, and then like for other people, that gives you another level of understanding of leadership.
Well, there's a real consequence at that point.
Yeah.
Like whatever that may be, but it becomes real.
Yeah. Most people have never sprained an ankle for anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, isn't that crazy? Like, you think about like how many times you've like on a soccer field, you've seen somebody in getting double teamed or something like that, and you've sprinted with everything that you have. I don't know certain situations in soccer, but something similar to that, right? With everything you have to get over there to help him out of that situation.
Yeah.
Or whatever. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
But most people that we were getting managed by
never did that.
Had never done that.
Yeah.
And it's like, hold on, you're telling me about leadership? And hold on, what? Oh, you read this in a book.
There were some people, though, you could tell that were weak right off the bat.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you come in here talking to everyone, and it's like, I can tell you've read this out of a book, and you're like reciting what the book told you.
Yeah.
Right away, I'm just like,
yeah.
Very sus.
One of the things is, you're good at that. You're younger than me, and you're really good at that. And I've always admired that about you. But the way I was raised was like, you respect authority immediately.
Okay.
And then, but the older I've gotten, I've realized, oh my God, I gotta stop that. You know what I mean? But that was how I was coached. You know, that's how I was taught. So I'm more susceptible to like, all right, whatever you say, I'll do.
But when you're coached, though, those are real leaders, though.
But that's the difference.
Yeah, those are like real leaders.
So that's the transition from like actually playing sports with real coaches, to entering the real world where your managers are just people who kind of did the job a little better than others, and they were appointed as manager.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with leadership.
Yeah, nothing.
Just their own personal performance.
Yeah.
You know, and you've probably got people who are underperforming at their individual tasks that are better leaders
than the manager.
Yeah, than the manager who was a high performer at what he was doing.
Yeah.
So,
I've definitely noticed that like it's hard to come by like good leaders. And like in the corporate world, it doesn't, they say they look for those values, but it's never about that.
No, they're taskmasters.
Yeah. It's never about that.
Do this or get fired. Yeah. Oh, all right.
Well,
those are my options.
At that. Yeah, if you're very good at that, then you climb that ladder, but it doesn't mean you're...
Maybe. Or you get pushed out.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, a leader has a backbone.
Yeah. It's true.
You know, I witnessed it with her. You know.
Well, so that's the thing, though, that it's someone who's been there, done that.
Right.
So it's someone who's actually a leader.
Yeah. And a leader's always willing to do what they tell you to do.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, that
you lead by example.
Number one.
You have to.
Number one.
You lose all respect when you don't do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I always remembered on football teams where you might have this on soccer teams, but like every year, like maybe the coach would be like, "Hey, who wants to be a captain?" And then some people would say, "I want to be a captain." And then like a couple weeks in, they're still slacking on the drills. They're slacking on the sprints. And then the coach calls them out. "I thought you said you wanted to be a leader on this team." You know?
Yeah.
You ever had those practices?
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're like, "Oh shit!" Like there's a lot that comes to this.
A lot.
You know, I've got to take care of me first before I get to talking about other people doing better. And then when you do have those guys that want to step up and be a leader, and they don't do their shit, and then they tell you to do your shit.
That is the fucking worst.
That's when you have a fight on the team.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Plain and simple.
Absolutely.
There's a fight gonna break out today.
It's like, how the fuck do you want to tell me shit when you can't even do your own shit?
Right.
That is the worst type of fucking person. Don't fucking talk to me.
Yeah, you're not leading me anywhere.
No
I'm gonna
way.
sit down. Actually,
Yeah.
not gonna do anything you say. But people don't get that. That's a hard thing to do, man.
Yeah.
Is to lead by example. It's so easy to tell other people what to do.
But to actually do the fucking work
is
hard.
Yeah.
We actually used to do in college. I actually like this a lot where, like when you first come into teams, I don't know. Actually, I like the idea of it, but also, I don't know. When you come into teams, like usually like the new guys, you got to earn your stripes. You got to do all like the hard work and shit. And then like, you're basically the team bitch until like the next team bitch comes in and then you've like graduated.
Right.
In college, what we did one season was like all the older guys did all the work. Mm-hmm. And to set like a tone of like, if we expect you to do this, like we have to do it. And this is the standard we go to.
Yeah.
And that season was actually a really good season because there was a standard set by the older guys.
Right.
And the years after, they did really well because that standard was set. Mm-hmm. And like, that's what I loved about, like, I feel like that's leadership. It's like, we set the standard and we have to meet the standard. I can't tell you to meet that standard if I can't even meet it.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. And I love that.
Yeah. I like that too. It was actually the opposite at Oklahoma when I was wrestling. Yeah. You had the older wrestlers not have to do the things, and then just immediately the resentment.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, so they think that's how they really feel. Because if they really cared about us as teammates, they'd jump in here and help us.
Yeah.
Even, no matter what the coach says, right? That's what you're thinking because you're a young freshman coming in, and you feel like they're not treating you right. I'm on the team, dude.
What happened 2 years after?
What do you mean?
Like, were you
I stopped wrestling. I wrestled for a year and a half in college. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't good. And then you see guys who hated it, right? When they were freshman, sophomore, and then when they became a junior and senior, they adopted it wholeheartedly. Yep, yeah. I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
Hey, well, it's part of being a freshman.
Yeah.
It's like, but don't you think that you would win some freshmen over and like build a better team if you implemented some things you were thinking about doing when you were a freshman? I feel
like that's a losing team. That is a losing program most of the time.
You're not helping yourself.
No, at all.
No.
Yeah. I learned that pretty quick in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, I was the only freshman in high school.
On starting?
Yeah, on the varsity team. And like I had to do all the fucking work. But I quickly realized that like as I was starting to get older, it's like all the kids that were coming in, like we were good. Well, that's a little difficult because I was the only freshman. But there was like two other kids who were not seniors or juniors. They were sophomores and they thought they were the shit. And I just like didn't like them.
Right.
I was like, well, first of all, like I am the same. I'm starting, you're starting. I'm getting more playing time than you. And just because you think you're older, you're not doing shit.
Right.
Like that, where the resentment came. I was like, dude, you're fucking, I don't like that shit. And so when younger kids were coming in, I would always help out. Like I made sure to like talk to the younger guys. I wouldn't always help,
Right.
but I would jump in and be like, "Oh, I got you." Like,
Yeah.
I would take the balls out, or I'll help clean up,
Right.
because you do have to do that shit.
I think so.
That's how you get people to trust him. Like, okay, this guy is like, he's not all talk.
Right.
Like, he's willing to do the work.
Yeah. It was funny when I was coaching kids, like I would have guys do that, but some guys on the team just didn't like them.
They hate it.
One of the captains, very successful, hard worker, younger guy, really great wrestler, not a hard worker. So they just butted heads all the time. They were both good wrestlers.
Yeah.
One worked so hard to get there, and one was just naturally good. And so he was lazy. He didn't want to do stuff. He didn't want to help roll up the mats and clean the mats and stuff like that. But the other one was the first one to do it. He was telling everybody else what to do. Like, all right, go over here. I'll do this. And you guys do that. And just coordinating people.
Yeah.
And they just butted heads because of that.
Yeah.
That leadership thing was hard for the younger kid to get.
Yeah.
But he didn't really care about the other guys, really, you know.
It was just about him.
He cared about himself, you know. And it's like, you know, he could have been a great leader, maybe. I mean, he could have impacted people for sure because he was so good.
Yeah.
And so it's funny, like when you see athletes like LeBron James or like, you know, big name athletes, and you're like, wow, he's so good at this thing. Like, you admire this person for what they can physically do. And you also wish and hope that they have great character.
Yeah.
Because you're like, to get there, you must be a great person, right? Like, you must have some type of like these character traits that formulate great performance, you know, or something like that. And it's not necessarily the case all the time.
Yeah.
You know? And then you get mad. It's like when you meet a hot person, like a real attractive dude who's just a piece of shit. And you're like, you mean to tell me you've got all this natural, you know, aesthetic going on that you didn't do shit for? You could eat pizza all day, every day, and still have a six-pack, and you're going to be an asshole?
Yeah.
Wow.
I feel like that's usually the case, though.
Yeah.
The people who like don't have to work for it are just like dicks.
Yeah. It's easier.
Yeah.
It's easier to be like that because, like, any type of success, if, you know, most people, when they have success, you hear like when you listen to like business owners and stuff like that talking about, or salespeople, like they talk about the success they had in business. They're like, it's all because of I worked hard. I did this. I did that. It's never about like, well, I had a great situation. My manager was like, he gave me a lot of leads.
Yeah.
It's nothing external to them. It's just them.
Yeah.
And it's like, I hope I don't get to the point where like all my successes, I think it's because of my character. You know what I mean? Because that's delusional.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of great people who have not been quote unquote rewarded financially.
Yeah.
You know? But they're the best people.
Yeah.
You know? And so like, but when you get to that point where you're thinking that like a financial reward is correlated to some type of moral superiority or character, you know, status that you have over the other people, that they just don't want it as much as you.
They don't work hard enough.
Yeah. It's like,
all right.
that's not healthy.
Yeah.
That's not healthy. It's funny to have those conversations with people though, you know, because you can't convince them.
Oh no.
You cannot convince them.
It's all about them.
Yeah.
Hard work.
Yeah. And everything was against them.
Yeah.
You know, I had to overcome this, and this. Oh, okay. Well, who bought clothes for you? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, nobody did anything for me.
Who gave you that first chance?
Yeah. Who did that?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you know, it was so-and-so and so-and-so. But I worked it. I was like, calm down. Dude, relax. It's almost like you have to convince yourself, you know? Like when you have a fragile ego, you know, you have to convince yourself that you did all this because you're so insecure.
Yeah.
You know? I've been there. I've been insecure before. Still deal with my own insecurities, but like I do know that I didn't buy my first car.
Yeah.
It's like I didn't buy the clothes I had when I was a kid. Like there's people been helping me my whole life.
Yeah.
You know,
and people will continue to help you at every stage.
Yeah, yeah. But when I was younger, I would hear people say, "I'm a self-made man. I did this," and I was like, "Oh wow, that's what I want to do. I want to do it all by myself." 15 years later, I'm still doing it by myself. It sucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you think that's real.
Yeah.
And it's not.
No, there's so much help along the way.
Yeah, and that's
so
okay.
Much help.
That's okay. That's actually
the process of it.
Yeah, and if that's true, then that should be good to talk about.
Yeah. Well, people, I feel like those people are just like want to put them, like what you're saying, their ego is like fragile. So they would just want to put themselves somewhere where like it creates like this.
It makes them appear superior in some way. Yeah. And dude, that's intoxicating.
But when you talk to people who've actually done it, who don't have that, you realize that there's a ton of help on the way.
Yeah. That is true. That's a good way of putting it. There's a ton of help on the way and in your life right now. Yeah.
You can't build something. It's impossible to build something like. I wouldn't say impossible, but like you need a group of. You need help and a group to create something big. It's like what's the saying? If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far,
go together.
Go together. Some shit like that.
That makes sense. Yeah,
it's like there's a reason why that's like said.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, that's a good point. I think we'll end it on that.
All right.
This has been fun, man. Thanks for coming up.
Bathroom, so perfect place. Do you do the outro?
Yeah, I do. It's just not playing.
The fucking Cubs, dude? Hell no! Like getting paid not a lot of money, dude, for fucking working? Hell no! But banana bread?
Banana bread.
Fucking work, dude! Hell yeah! Hell yeah!
I like that.